17-year-old Sean Boswell, Lucas Black, is a social misfit from Alabama attending high school in Oro Valley, Arizona. Passionate about cars, Sean has a troubled past, with his parents divorcing when he was just 3 years old. His reckless driving habits have landed him a police record with 2 offenses. To avoid incarceration, he and his mother frequently relocate, leaving Sean with few opportunities to form lasting friendships. One afternoon after school, Clay, Zachary Ty Bryan, a wealthy student and captain of the school's football team known as the Ducks, taunts Sean for his modified 1971 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. In response, Sean mocks Clay's reliance on his daddy's Viper, triggering Clay's temper. As Sean drives away, Clay retaliates by smashing the Monte Carlo's rear windshield with a baseball. Furious, Sean challenges Clay to a street race, proposing they race for pink slips. After some back and forth, Clay's girlfriend, Cindy, ups the stakes by offering herself as the prize. The race takes place at a construction site for a future suburban development. Sean's start is disastrous, giving Clay the early lead. Determined to catch up, Sean takes a risky shortcut through an alley and drives straight through an unfinished house, gaining ground. He overtakes Clay, who responds by attempting to ram Sean off the road, damaging his Viper in the process. As the battle intensifies, Sean T-bones Clay, sending Clay's car crashing into a cement pipe. However, Sean loses control of his Monte Carlo, flipping it multiple times and completely totaling the vehicle. In the aftermath, both Sean and Clay are arrested and charged with illegal street racing and property damage. Due to Sean's repeated run-ins with the law and his mother's frustration with their constant relocations, she decides to send him to Tokyo to live with his father, a U.S. Navy officer stationed there. When Sean arrives at his father's home, he is immediately warned to stay out of trouble and avoid cars altogether. His father makes it clear that any further missteps will result in Sean being deported back to the United States, where he would face jail time after already reaching the maximum limit of 3 criminal offenses. At his new high school in Tokyo, Sean once again finds himself an outsider. He soon befriends Twinkie, Bow Wow, a fellow American immigrant with a sharp business sense, who makes money selling pre-owned goods to students. Twinkie drives a uniquely customized, Hulk-themed 2004 Volkswagen Touran van, reflecting his flair for style and creativity. Wanting to introduce Sean to Tokyo's underground car culture, Twinkie takes him to a parking garage where the city's street racers gather to show off their drifting skills. While there, Sean crosses paths with Takashi, Brian T., known as Drift King or DK, after striking up a conversation with Neela, Nathalie Kelly, Takashi's girlfriend and someone Sean had previously met at school. A tense verbal confrontation ensues, setting the stage for a brewing rivalry. Following the confrontation, Takashi challenges Sean to an illegal street race. Han Solo, Sung Kang, Takashi's friend and business partner, offers Sean his Nissan Silvia S15 to use in the race. However, with no experience in drifting, Sean is soundly defeated by Takashi, whose superior skills and Nissan 350Z leave Sean in the dust. To make matters worse, Sean severely damages Han's Silvia. After the race, Han warns him not to leave town. When Sean returns home, his father confronts him about his reckless behavior, leading to a heated argument. Eventually, Sean reluctantly promises to stay away from racing. The next day, Han shows up after school, driving an orange and black 1994 Mazda RX-7 FD. He informs Sean that, to repay the debt for wrecking his car, Sean will have to work for him, whether he likes it or not. Han becomes a close friend and mentor to Sean, teaching him how to drift and providing him with a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 9 with WRC tuning to represent him in upcoming races. Han reveals that he's helping Sean because he admires his fearless attitude toward Takashi, calling Sean DK's kryptonite. He also shares his own story, admitting that he came to Tokyo to avoid legal trouble and referring to the city as his Mexico. Tired of the tension with his father, Sean moves out and starts living with Han. Under Han's guidance, he masters the art of drifting and begins to build a reputation after defeating Takashi's enforcer, Morimoto, in a race. One evening, Sean and Neela go on a date, during which she opens up about her life. She explains that she too feels like an outsider. Her mother came to Tokyo from Australia after high school and worked as a barmaid until she passed away when Neela was just 10. Takashi's grandparents took her in, and she eventually became involved with Takashi. The next day, a jealous and furious Takashi confronts Sean, brutally beating him and warning him to stay away from Neela or face even worse consequences, threatening that the only thing he'll be driving is a wheelchair. Outraged by Takashi's violence, Neela leaves him and moves into Han's garage, choosing to be with Sean instead. One evening, Takashi's uncle, Kamada, Sonny Chiba, a high-ranking member of the Yakuza, pays him a visit at his small storage room adjacent to his front business, a betting shop. Kamada expresses his dissatisfaction with the business's performance, implying that profits are far below expectations. This conversation leads Takashi to suspect that Han has been skimming from the operation. Later that night, Takashi and his enforcer, Morimoto, storm into Han's garage, confronting Han, Sean, and Neela about the missing goods. Tensions escalate as Takashi pulls a gun, threatening to shoot Han. In a tense standoff, Twinkie creates a diversion that buys enough time for Han, Sean, and Neela to flee the garage. Takashi and Morimoto immediately give chase, sparking a high-speed pursuit through the crowded Tokyo streets. The four vehicles tear through the streets of Tokyo, with Han leading the way, followed closely by Sean and Neela, while Takashi and Morimoto pursue them relentlessly. Morimoto inches closer to Sean, attempting a T-bone maneuver to knock him off the road. However, he swerves to avoid oncoming traffic and crashes head-on into another car, causing a violent chain reaction and killing him instantly. Undeterred, Takashi presses on and catches up to Sean, ramming him off course. Han brakes sharply, changing the positions and allowing Sean to take the lead. As Sean attempts to help Han, he suddenly finds himself entering the bustling Shibuya crossing. He frantically honks his horn to clear a path through the sea of pedestrians, lining up for a desperate drift around the corner. Seizing the chaos, Takashi spins his car 180 degrees and fires his gun at Han's windshield. Distracted by the commotion, Sean fails to notice the traffic around him and gets rear-ended by another car, wrecking his Mitsubishi Evo. Meanwhile, Han confronts Takashi, pushing his car off the road. A speeding car slams into Han's vehicle, causing it to flip over multiple times before coming to a stop. Sean rushes to help Han, but before he can reach him, the car bursts into flames, killing Han. Devastated, Sean watches as Takashi flees the scene, disappearing into the night. Shaken and horrified by Han's tragic death, Sean and Neela flee to Sean's father's home to seek refuge. However, Takashi arrives moments later, demanding that Neela get into his car. A violent confrontation ensues, with Sean managing to gain the upper hand. But as the fight escalates, Takashi draws his gun, threatening to kill Sean. Just then, Sean's father intervenes with his own weapon, forcing Takashi to retreat with Neela. Afterward, Sean's father demands that he pack his belongings and return to the United States. Determined to make things right, Sean refuses to leave, insisting on settling his debts and restoring honor. Although initially furious, his father ultimately relents, telling Sean, "At least you're not making my mistakes," and allows him to stay. With Twinkie's help, Sean ventures into the Yakuza-controlled district to confront Kamada. He returns the stolen money Han had left for him and proposes a final race against Takashi to settle the feud. The terms are simple. The loser must leave Tokyo for good. Kamada, intrigued by Sean's boldness, agrees, but sets the race on DK's mountain, a dangerous and treacherous course where Takashi remains the only driver to ever make it down successfully. The next day, Sean and Han's friends visit Han's garage, only to find that the Tokyo Police Department has seized all of their cars, except for the Nissan Silvia that Sean had wrecked in his first race with Takashi. Determined to continue his journey, Sean decides to take the 1967 Ford Mustang GT, a car his father had found at his Navy base. With the help of Twinkie and the rest of the crew, they set to work on restoring the Mustang, using the engine components from the wrecked Silvia that Sean had previously destroyed. Together, they rebuild the car and return it to its original, powerful shape, readying it for the upcoming race against Takashi. On the mountain, Han's crew and Takashi's crew gather, their members tuning in through local video calls to watch the highly anticipated race. Kamada arrives with Neela, and Takashi shows up beside Sean, who's been waiting for him. One of Kamada's goons gives the signal to start, and the race begins. Takashi takes an early lead, but Sean quickly catches up, passing him a few times. Frustrated, Takashi tries to force Sean off the road by ramming him repeatedly, attempting to intimidate him into backing down. Despite Takashi's aggressive tactics, Sean remains undeterred and keeps pushing forward. As the race progresses, Takashi makes a dangerous move to stop Sean, nearly totaling his Nissan 350Z in the process. But Sean remains calm and focused, ultimately taking the lead in the final stretch. As they approach the finish line, Takashi makes one last attempt to ram Sean off the road, but Sean expertly drifts around him, sending Takashi's car into a deadly spin. Takashi's 350Z crashes into a cliffside, and Takashi is humiliated as his car is totaled and sent off the edge. As Takashi's crew helps him out of the wreckage, Neela runs to Sean, and the two are reunited. Kamada, having witnessed the outcome, acknowledges Sean's victory and allows him to leave Tokyo without any further consequences. With that, Sean and Neela part ways with Tokyo, knowing that Sean has earned both his respect and freedom. Months after his victory over Takashi, Sean has earned the title of Drift King, establishing himself as a skilled and respected racer in Tokyo. One evening, Twinkie approaches Sean with news of a challenger, someone who has gained a reputation across Asia. Initially hesitant, Sean declines the offer to race, but Twinkie reminds him that the challenger knew Han and was considered family to him. This hits Sean hard, and he decides to accept the challenge. To Sean's surprise, the challenger turns out to be none other than Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel, driving the Hammer, a custom-built 1970 Plymouth Satellite. Sean, now behind the wheel of a Nissan Silvia similar to Han's, recognizes Dominic's legendary status and warns him that this race won't be over in 10 seconds. With a confident smile, Dominic replies, "I've got nothing but time." As the two cars rev their engines, the screen fades to black, and the film ends with both cars speeding off into the night, heading toward the first straight of what promises to be an epic race.